Don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest stories. I never believed I'd be sitting here in an empty apartment with my life in boxes, at the age of 63, realizing that a single conversation with my son could unravel everything I'd built. Yet here I am, on the verge of walking out the door forever, free for the first time. It didn't start like this. I was 29 when my only son, Rayhan, was born. My wife, Syra, and I had been married 4 years. We lived in a cramped 2-room apartment in a working-class neighborhood. I worked at a local steel factory, a grueling job that barely covered our bills, but I carried big dreams. When Rayhan arrived, I held him in my arms and thought, he'll have the life I never did. Syra and I formed a solid little team, me working any shift I could, her caring for Rayhan, both of us determined that he'd want for nothing. He grew into a bright child, taking apart toy cars, scribbling rocket ships. I'd tell him, one day you'll be a famous engineer, never suspecting how those ambitions might twist him later. Over time, cracks appeared. Right as Rayhan finished primary school, Syra was diagnosed with a chronic heart condition. We faced mounting medical bills. His teachers pushed him to attend a private academy we could barely afford. Syra insisted we had to send him. He deserved the best. So I took extra shifts, even weekend cleaning jobs, often finishing at 2 a.m. then starting again at 6. I ate little and ignored my own health to pay Rayhan's tuition and Syra's treatments. But Rayhan thrived academically, and I told myself it would be worth it. Then in his last year of high school, Syra's health worsened. She died the summer Rayhan turned 18, leaving us hollow. Rayhan kept his focus on exams, accepted into multiple engineering colleges. The best one was overseas, partial financial aid but still huge costs. I sold everything including our apartment so Rayhan could go. I lived in a single rented room near the factory, working harder than ever. At the airport I told him, come back and take care of me when I'm old. He nodded, but that gesture was fleeting. For 6 years, he rarely contacted me except when he needed more money for fees or housing. Sometimes I got sick but dragged myself to the bank to wire him funds. Pride kept me going. He was my legacy, I told myself. He called once to say he was engaged to a classmate, Halima, from an affluent family. The wedding was in her city. He told me I needn't attend. He said they'd keep it simple and I let it go. One emailed photo later showed him and Halima in formal attire, no parents in sight. I forced myself to be proud. Graduation came. He got a prestigious job and apartment, was busy with corporate life. I was 55, stuck in the same factory, living alone. I sometimes asked if he'd visit, but flights were expensive, so maybe next year became never. Then out of the blue Rayhan called. He sounded cheerful, said Halima was pregnant. They'd move back so the baby could be near family. Her parents owned a condo in the city, but they wanted me around to help. I was excited, sure this was a chance to reconnect. I moved into their condo's small guest room. It was a sleek world, beyond anything I'd known. Polished floors, a doorman, city lights. Halima's parents were polite but condescending. Her father always mentioned influential connections. Her mother wore elegant clothes and eyed me as an oddity. Halima was polite yet distant, advanced in her pregnancy, telling me to handle small tasks. I swallowed my pride to be near my soon-to-be grandchild. But tension brewed, especially with Halima's mother criticizing my every move. Over time I realized they saw me as cheap labor, not family. When the baby, Samir, arrived, Halima's mother insisted on an expensive nanny. You just do errands and cooking, she said. Rayhan rarely defended me. He'd say, we rely on you for basics. If you can't do that, what's the point of you living here? The heartbreak was constant. One night, I came back from buying diapers and was confronted by Halima's mother accusing me of being unreliable. Rayhan stepped in, telling me I was a burden if I couldn't keep up. I felt my world shake as he ordered me around like an employee, ignoring every sacrifice I'd made since his birth. He even said, No one asked you to do all that for me. If you're not working, you're just a drain on our finances. Something in me snapped. I reminded him I'd financed his entire education, but he retorted that was my choice. Finally, I packed a small bag and declared I was leaving. He hissed, "Don't come back. We're done." I stumbled into the street, tears mingling with rain. Decades of devotion thrown away. Yet I sensed a grim relief. I was free. The next day, I thought I'd pick up shifts at the old factory, only to find my position was gone. I stood outside, lost, and that's when I encountered Mr. Hamid, an old co-worker who'd found success in real estate. He recognized me, took me for coffee. I confided in him about Rayhan kicking me out, my hopeless job prospects. Hamid shook his head, said, "I need a reliable person to manage a renovation project. It's not charity, it's a job. Let me show you." He took me to a half-finished apartment building. "If you oversee the workers, help with basic accounting, I'll pay you fairly," he said. I hesitated, worried about my age and limited office skills, but desperation drove me to accept. That was how, at 58, I started living in a shabby corner of the building, turning dusty rooms into livable apartments. Workers answered to me, and I felt a spark of purpose. Over months, I discovered I had a knack for organizing people, checking supplies, balancing budgets. I made new acquaintances, joked with the plumbers and electricians. Slowly, I regained confidence. Meanwhile, Rayhan never called. I heard rumors from old neighbors. "He's living lavishly in the city. They don't mention you." My anger simmered, but I found solace in focusing on my new job. Then a twist came. Hamid's enterprise grew rapidly. Once the building was completed, he asked me to manage day-to-day operations of the entire complex. "You'll handle tenant issues, coordinate repairs. Salary is better than the factory ever was," he offered. Gratitude overcame me. For the first time since Cyrus' death, I felt financially stable. I rented a decent flat in the building, saving money each month. My body ached from decades of labor, but my spirit felt lighter. I even joined a local community group, rediscovering small joys like chess nights and weekend potlucks. One afternoon, Hamid sat me down and said, "You've done wonders for my property. I'd like to invest in a second building. If you partner with me by investing your savings, you'll have partial ownership. Could be good for your retirement." I mulled it over for weeks. Eventually, I took the risk. By 62, I found myself with a modest share in 2 apartment complexes, earning monthly profits. I never grew rich, but I could afford a comfortable existence. Some evenings, I'd stand on my balcony, sipping tea, recalling the shame of being kicked out of Rayhan's condo. But I felt little bitterness now. Let him live his big city dream. I'd built a quiet life of my own. That's where this story could have ended, if not for the call I received one evening from a hospital in the city. They'd found my number as an emergency contact for Rayhan. He'd been in an accident. My heart lurched. Despite everything, he was still my child. I rushed to the hospital, only to find Halima in tears, her parents looking grim. They shot me resentful glances. The doctor said Rayhan had fractured bones and a possible concussion. He'd be incapacitated for at least 2 months. I stepped forward. "How can I help?" Halima's mother sneered. "You? After you deserted him, you think we need you? We have insurance." The old fury rose in me, but I swallowed it. Rayhan lay unconscious, bandaged. My eyes welled with tears. In that moment, I wanted him to know I was there, that I cared. When he finally came to, he looked at me with bewilderment, then regret. "Dad," he murmured weakly. I tried to hold his hand. He didn't pull away. Over the following days, he needed assistance with daily tasks. The hospital staff was stretched thin, and Halima's mother insisted on private nurses. But Rayhan, perhaps softened by pain, requested quietly, "Dad, help me drink water, help me walk." Something in me melted. I helped him stand, fed him soup, told him not to worry about money. Halima's mother watched with suspicion. A week later, Rayhan was discharged. The question was where he'd recuperate. Halima insisted they return to her parents' condo, but Rayhan hesitated. He looked at me with a flicker of humility. "Dad, maybe I can stay with you for a while. If that's okay. I just need a quiet place." Felt surreal. After all the hurtful words, he was asking to stay in my modest flat. Part of me yearned to say yes, to finally mend our bond. Part of me felt raw, remembering how he'd once tossed me out. I said I'd think about it. Halima's mother tried to intervene. "We have room for him. He doesn't need your place." But Rayhan insisted. "I just want some peace. Let me heal with Dad." She and Halima grudgingly gave in, seeing Rayhan's stubbornness. The next day, a medical transport brought him to my building. The drive gave me suspicious looks, but I led them to my decently furnished flat, small but cozy. I set Rayhan up in the spare bedroom, which had once been a storage room. He lay on the bed, wincing from pain, while I arranged pillows, medication, and water. The first night we barely spoke. On the second day I asked how he felt. He quietly thanked me for taking him in. "I was a jerk," he said. "I don't know why I pushed you away like that." I wanted to retort that he'd done more than push me away, but I saw genuine remorse in his eyes. So I nodded, letting him rest. Over the next 2 weeks, I helped him with everything from bathing to therapy exercises. Slowly, his fractures started healing. Our conversation remained polite, guarded. Then one evening after I'd cooked dinner, he said, "Dad, can we talk about everything?" My chest tightened. We sat at the tiny kitchen table. He spoke softly, eyes downcast. "I blamed you for my mother's death deep down. I was angry you couldn't save her. Then I started seeing you as incompetent, I guess. I wanted a better life, and Halima's family told me I should cut ties with you, that you were holding me back. I foolishly agreed." I felt tears pricking. "Rayhan, if you'd told me your pain, maybe we could have worked through it. I never once felt incompetent. I gave all I had for you." He nodded, tears in his own eyes. "I'm sorry. I thought I needed to prove to Halima's family that I wasn't dragged down by a poor father. I wanted them to see me as a self-made man. Looking back, it's terrible. My pride was so big, I forgot who I owed everything to." Silence enveloped us, heavy with grief and tentative forgiveness. Rayhan reached for my hand across the table. "Can we start over? I know I don't deserve it, but I'd like to try." My heart pounded. A swirl of relief and caution warred within me. "We can try," I said. "But trust is slow to rebuild, Rayhan." He nodded, tears falling. "I understand." For a moment, it felt like we'd reached a soft reconciliation. Over the next few weeks, I thought we were making progress. He'd occasionally joke with me, ask about my daily life. We started watching an old TV series together in the evenings. I felt hope stirring. Then Halima's mother unexpectedly dropped by one afternoon, claiming to check on Rayhan. She saw me helping him do physiotherapy exercises and scowled. Once Rayhan left the room, she cornered me with a hiss. "Don't get too comfortable. When he's healed, he's coming home with us. Halima doesn't want you meddling again." I realized she was laying down a boundary. No matter how we tried to fix our relationship, her family had no intention of letting me remain close. Kept calm. "That's Rayhan's choice, not yours." He smirked. "We'll see." Rayhan recovered enough to walk with crutches. The day he was to move back with Halima, he packed his bag. I felt a pang of sadness but said nothing. Before he stepped out, I mustered the courage to say, "So, we'll keep in touch?" He paused, turning with a mixture of regret and affection. "Yes, Dad. I won't vanish again." But I saw conflict in his eyes, as if Halima's family had gotten to him. He left, and once again the flat was empty. Days passed. Then a phone call, Halima's mother. Her voice cold. "Don't call Rayhan. Don't bother him. He's building a future, and you're a relic. If you truly love him, let him go." Stop chaining him to your pathetic background. I recognized the same arrogance that had overshadowed me for years. I felt a surge of anger, yet also a wave of resignation. Relic. Maybe I was. I hung up without responding. For months, Rayhan texted occasionally, a few short updates about his new project, how the baby was learning to walk. He never invited me to see them. I realized Halima's mother must be controlling the narrative again. The final blow came on a Tuesday afternoon, out of nowhere. Rayhan arrived at my flat, looking exhausted. His shoulders slumped. He said, "Dad, I need your help financially. Halima's mother wants us to invest in a property scheme. We're short on funds. You've done well with that real estate friend, right? Maybe you can take a loan for me." I stared at him, disbelief churning. So that was it. All these half-hearted reconciliations only to demand money. I replied, "I'm sorry but no. Can't. I've fought too hard for what little I have. I won't throw it into a scheme for people who despise me." Rayhan's face twisted. He hammered me with guilt. "You always said everything you have is for me. You said you'd sacrifice until your last breath. Now you're going back on your word." My voice shook. "I said those things when I believed there was love between us, mutual respect. I can't keep giving while you treat me like a burden. If Halima's family wants an investment, let them do it themselves." Rage darkened Rayhan's eyes. "So that's it. You're discarding me now that you have your own life. You never loved me. It was all an act to make yourself look good." My heart splintered. I saw he was beyond reason. All those final illusions I had about him, about maybe forging a new bond, collapsed. He glared with venom. "Fine. Then consider this the last time we speak." He stormed out. I stood trembling, tears on my cheeks. Once again I'd lost him. But maybe this time I'd lost only a false dream. Over the next few days, I vacillated between heartbreak and strange relief. The day Syra died, I promised her I'd give Rayhan everything I had. And in doing so, I neglected myself. Now, at 63, I realized I had a few good years left. Maybe it was time to live. The small nest egg I'd built from managing Hamid's complexes, plus the partial ownership in our second venture, gave me enough to survive decently. I looked at the near, empty apartment I'd once thought so lonely. Maybe I'd trade it for a simpler place in a quiet town, fill it with books and paintings, start a garden. No more illusions, no more waiting for Rayhan to call. That's why I'm here, putting my belongings in boxes. In the morning, I'll board a bus out of the city to a countryside spot I've always wanted to see. As I tape the final box shut, I think of Syra, of how she wanted Rayhan to have a chance. I gave him that. Whether he ruins it or not is his burden. I think of the child Rayhan used to be, and a tear rolls down my face. Then I steel myself. Sometimes even as parents we do all we can, and it's not enough to buy gratitude or love. We must protect our own hearts. I'll never regret adopting him, nor the years I gave. But I also won't let that overshadow the rest of my life. Maybe one day, if he opens his eyes, he'll come find me. If not, that's okay. I place my final photograph of Rayhan, taken when he was a bright-eyed teenager, into a small envelope. I whisper goodbye. Then I set it aside with the rest of my memories. Tomorrow I leave. I imagine a small house near rolling hills, a quiet lake, fresh morning air. I'll brew tea, read old novels, maybe adopt a stray cat. That, in the end, is how I choose to live. On my own terms. And if anyone wonders whether I regret the path I took, the answer is no. I only regret letting my son's ingratitude hurt me for so long. Even at 63, I've discovered it's never too late to begin again. Thank you for listening to my story. If any part of this journey resonates with you, please like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more real-life stories about how family, love, and hope can bend and break us, yet also set us free. Maybe the next time you see a father or mother struggling, you'll remember how complicated it can be behind closed doors. As for me, I'm finally stepping out that door, head held high, free to create the final chapters of my life on my own.